The wind had died hours ago. The night hung heavy over the town like a held breath, thick with the kind of stillness that feels wrong. Too exact, too absolute. Even the trees outside Anna Carter's window seemed to be listening. Only the clock spoke. Tick, tick, tick. Each sound like a nail being driven slowly into wood. She sat at the edge of her bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to that clock. Some nights were like this. Nights when sleep was a ghost she couldn't touch. When memories she tried to bury rose from the dark with soft, wet hands. She reached for her phone, the new one, bright and modern, resting on the nightstand. No messages, no missed calls, no company. Then the other phone rang. The sound tore through the quiet like a scream. It wasn't the cell. It was the old landline, the one she hadn't used in nearly a decade, the one still plugged into the wall because she couldn't bring herself to cut it loose. The phone's plastic body was yellowed with age, dust in every groove, a relic from a house that used to be full of voices. Anna froze. Nobody knew that number, nobody should. The ringing kept coming, shrill and desperate. The sound of something that needed to be answered. Her heart thudded painfully in her chest as she reached out, hand shaking. She hesitated once, then lifted the receiver. "Hello?" Static whispered through the line, soft, electric, alive. Then a voice, low and familiar, slipped out of the static like a secret. "Anna, it's me." The room spun. For a heartbeat, she forgot how to breathe. That voice, calm, warm, with the faintest rasp on the R, it was impossible. "Mark?" "Yeah," he said gently. "It's me, sis." The receiver trembled in her hand. No, this isn't funny." He chuckled softly, the way he used to when she got too serious. "I know it sounds crazy, but I didn't call to scare you. I just needed to talk." Her knees went weak. She sat down hard on the bed. The air felt thick, humming with something she couldn't name. Mark had been dead for 10 years. For a long breath, Anna said nothing. Only the hiss of the line filled the room, a sound like rain falling somewhere she couldn't see. She wanted to hang up, to run, but her name on his lips pinned her in place. "How are you hearing me?" she whispered. "Doesn't matter how," the voice replied. "Just listen while we still have time." His words slid through the static, warm and steady, and the years between them folded like paper. She could almost see him, hair damp from the old rainstorms, eyes full of mischief, that crooked grin he wore when he thought he'd gotten away with something. Her throat tightened. "You died, Mark. I saw you. I heard them say, 'I know.'" He cut in softly. "But some things don't stay buried the way you think." A tremor of sound moved through the line. Not quite thunder, not quite breath. The lamp on her bedside table flickered once, twice, then steadied. Anna's pulse hammered in her ears. The house felt different. Alive, alert, as if it too were listening. "Why are you calling me?" she asked. There was a pause, then a sigh, one she'd known since childhood. "Because you never stopped blaming yourself. You keep replaying that night. Like, if you remember it hard enough, it'll change." Her fingers clenched around the phone. Outside, the streetlight buzzed, throwing a pale circle on the wet asphalt. Somewhere far off, a dog barked and then went silent. "I was the one driving, Mark. I made you come with me." "You were 17, he said. "You made a mistake in the rain. That doesn't mean you killed me." His tone was calm, matter of fact, but each word hit her like a hammer on glass. She tried to speak, failed, then whispered, "I see you sometimes. In dreams. Standing by the oak tree, are those really you?" "Sometimes," he said, almost smiling through the static. "Sometimes it's just memory, hard to tell the difference from where I am." A cold draft swept across the room. The curtains swayed through the window was shut. The faint scent of wet leaves crept in, oak leaves. "Anna," Mark said quietly, "I can't stay long. When the light flickers, that means I'm close. When it goes out..." The bulb above her sputtered, throwing a strobe of gold across the walls. "Mark? That means I'm gone again." The line cracked, warped, then steadied. "Listen," he said, "you don't have to keep living inside that crash. You've been stuck there for 10 years. Let me go. Let yourself breathe again." She pressed the phone tighter against her ear, tears blurring her vision. "Tell me how. Please." "Start by forgiving the girl in the driver's seat," he said. "She was scared. She loved her brother more than the sky itself. That's enough." For a heartbeat, she heard nothing but his breathing, a small, human sound wrapped in static. Then came the faint creak of wood, as if someone were stepping into the room. Anna turned. In the mirror across from her bed, the air shimmered faintly. A figure stood there, hazy, familiar, smiling. And then the lamp went dark. Darkness fell in a single blink. The room dissolved into the kind of black that eats its own sound. Anna's breath came shallow and fast. The air was thick, metallic, alive with the scent of ozone. Her mind drifted back to that night, the storm pressing down, headlights cutting through the rain, and a moment that had never left her. The road had been slick, silvered by headlights and fear. She saw it again, the wipers thrashing, the dash lights painting Mark's profile blue. He was singing off-key to calm her down, tapping the rhythm on the dashboard. "You drive like you're chasing thunder," he'd teased. "Maybe I am," she'd said, laughing too loud. Then came the curve, the glare. A truck appearing out of nowhere, its horn splitting the world apart. Glass shattering like applause from hell. Her body floating, weightless, then slamming back into bone and seatbelt. And the silence afterward, thicker than blood. That silence never left. It lived inside her walls, under her skin, humming behind every quiet night. She blinked hard, and the present bled back in. The dark bedroom, the dead lamp, the phone still pressed to her ear. "You remember," Mark's voice murmured, half echo, half thought. "You always do when it rains." Anna whispered, "I tried to forget." "You shouldn't forget, you should forgive." The rain sound faded. A faint glow returned, moonlight spilling through the blinds like threads of mercy. Her reflection in the mirror wavered, and beside it, just for a second, stood the shape of a boy with starlight in his grin. "I didn't call to haunt you," he said. "I called to finish the song." She frowned through tears. "What song?" "The one I never got to finish in the car, the one that kept you from screaming." From somewhere, maybe the line, maybe the air itself, came a low hum, broken but sweet. It was his tune, crooked and human, and she found herself humming back, voice shaking. For the first time in years, the melody didn't hurt. The mirror brightened. The figure smiled once more, proud and peaceful. And then the phone clicked, quiet as a heartbeat stopping. The lamp flickered back to life. She was alone again, sitting in a small pool of light, the receiver heavy in her hand. Outside, the rain finally started for real, washing the world clean. Anna looked up at it, eyes wide, tears and rain indistinguishable. Somewhere beyond the storm, her brother's laughter rolled like distant thunder. The storm lingered long past midnight. Lightning stitched pale veins across the sky, and the thunder rolled through the valley like a slow drumbeat from another world. Anna sat in its rhythm, phone still warm in her hand, trying to decide whether she'd imagined everything. Then the receiver gave a single click. Soft, deliberate, like a finger tapping glass. Static bled through again, quieter this time, almost tender. "Anna?" The voice was thinner now, far away, but unmistakable. She steadied her breath. "Mark? I thought it was over. Almost. One last thing." The line swelled with interference, words threading between crackles like ghosts through a door. "You can't keep living inside that crash, Anna. You keep waiting for the moment before it happens, as if you could reach back and steer the wheel, but life only moves forward." Tears welled again, hot and clean. "You don't know how hard it is." "Sure I do," he said, smiling in the sound. "I've been right beside you every time you whispered my name." Lightning flared, turning the room into a white photograph. Anna, frozen in grief, hair lifted by static, the phone cord coiled around her wrist like a tether. "Then tell me what to do," she whispered. "Live," he said simply. "That's all I ever wanted for you." The words hit her chest with a quiet force. For a heartbeat, she felt warmth, real, solid, as if an arm had draped across her shoulders. The storm began to ease. Thunder stepped farther away, rain softening to mist. Through the window she saw the first tear in the clouds, a narrow slit of calm sky. "Mark, I'm still here," he said, "just not where you're looking." The static thinned until it was nothing but a whisper of electricity, the hush of a world letting go. And then the line went dead. Anna stayed there, listening to the silence grow roots in the floorboards. The old phone's dial tone never returned. Instead, the wind slipped through the cracked window and carried the faint scent of wet oak and sunlight, the smell of every good day they'd ever shared. She stood, walked to the mirror. Her reflection stared back, tired, tear-streaked, but alive. And behind her, faintly, a small glimmer of light, like a hand wave caught in glass. "Thank you," she said. The house exhaled. Somewhere, the clock began to tick again. Morning came quietly as if afraid to wake the world. The rain had washed the night clean, leaving the streets glazed with silver light. Anna stood by the window, the old phone resting in her palm like a relic from a dream. Each drop that slid down the glass caught a fragment of dawn. 1,000 tiny suns falling and dying, one after another. Somewhere a sparrow tested its voice, thin and brave, and the sound felt like forgiveness. She set the receiver back into its cradle. The faint click rang through the room like the closing of a long open door. For the first time in years, she noticed the small things. The smell of coffee drifting from the neighbor's porch, the creak of the floorboard that had always sung beneath Mark's step, the pulse of her own heartbeat steadying against her ribs. Her memories no longer lunged at her like wolves. They came softly now, walking beside her, familiar and tamed. She opened the window. The breeze entered, cool and gentle, carrying the ghost scent of oak leaves and rain. Somewhere in that wind she thought she heard a laugh, his laugh, and instead of breaking, she smiled. The sun rose higher, spilling gold across the dust on the dresser. She could see 2 faint fingerprints there, smudged but shining. And for a breath, she let herself believe they were his. "Goodbye, brother," she whispered. The words did not ache, they glowed. The world answered with light. Every raindrop outside caught fire. Every shadow softened. Every sorrow folded itself into something almost holy. And inside her chest, where guilt had once built its nest of thorns, something small and bright began to flutter. The quiet wings of a heart learning how to live again. The room was not the same. It breathed. Walls shimmered with the faint silver of moonlight, curling and bending like smoke caught in a glass jar. Shadows stretched and shifted, as though leaning closer to listen. The air hummed, low, electric, alive, with a pulse that matched her own heartbeat. Anna clutched the old receiver, though the line was dead. She didn't care. The silence itself felt full, pregnant with possibility, like the pause before a note that could shatter the sky. Then she saw him. Not in full form, not entirely there, yet undeniably Mark. A figure of faint light, edges rippling like water under moonlight. He smiled, that crooked human smile, the one that used to make her laugh even when she wanted to cry. Anna. His voice was everywhere, yet nowhere, carried in the hum of the air. She stepped forward, drawn by the glow, and the floor beneath her became liquid light, stretching between reality and memory. Every step echoed like the soft strike of a bell in a cathedral. Her reflection in the mirror multiplied, dozens of Annas, each one frozen in grief, fear, and hope. And they all turned toward him, waiting. "I never left," he whispered. "I was here, in every tear, every breath you feared to waste, every shadow that touched your soul." Anna's knees buckled. She sank to the floor, overwhelmed by the beauty and weight of it all. The air shimmered with visions. The oak tree in summer, golden and alive, where they built their treehouse together. Rain-soaked streets, laughter echoing after the crash that had seemed to steal him away. Her own tears, suspended like crystal droplets, reflecting all that she had carried for 10 years. "All this time," she whispered, "you were..." "Watching, waiting, loving, always," he said, and the words hung in the air like a silver cord vibrating across the night. The room bent, softened, became something impossible yet undeniable. She could feel the pulse of life and death intertwined, the fragile membrane between the worlds trembling with light. Every object, the lamp, the dust on the floor, the phone cord, glowed faintly, reverberating with memory and presence. Anna raised her hands, trembling, toward him. She felt warmth, the gentle weight of his essence, the echo of laughter, the comfort of an embrace that existed outside of flesh. And then, almost painfully, she understood. This is the place between worlds, where love lingers, where forgiveness becomes living, where grief turns into light. Tears ran freely down her cheeks, but they were no longer heavy. They were soft, luminous, as if each drop carried a star inside it. She whispered, barely audible, "I forgive myself, and I forgive you." The air shivered. The light around him pulsed, brighter, warmer, and for a single heartbeat she thought she could step forward and touch him. And she felt the culmination of 10 years of sorrow, longing, and memory lift from her chest. "Now you are free," he said. "Now we are both free." The glow lingered, and then slowly, like dawn breaking over the horizon, it faded. The room became a room again, walls, lamp, shadows, but it no longer felt empty. The echoes of his presence remained, soft and lingering, a melody folded into the air. Anna sat in silence, her hands trembling, her heart alive with something she hadn't felt in a decade. Peace. The peak had passed, the storm had ended, and she knew, with the certainty of the wind and the stars, that some love is eternal. The room had become sacred without changing at all. The night held its breath, waiting for Anna to step forward into the world again. And in that hush, a single star gleamed through the clouds, brighter than the rest, promising that light, memory, and love would never leave her. The night had settled, calm and eternal, carrying the echoes of what had just passed. Hannah's house breathed with memory, with love, with stories that refused to fade. Somewhere in the quiet spaces between heartbeats, a faint hum lingered, like a secret whispered just for her. The wind carried it, threading through the trees, across empty streets, brushing the edges of the ordinary with something extraordinary. And in that hush, she understood something timeless. Those we've lost never truly leave. They wait in the corners of our lives, in the shimmer of moonlight, in the sigh of a falling leaf, and in the moment we are ready. They speak, so listen. Always. Even the smallest whisper may carry the weight of love that refuses to fade. Even in silence, even in darkness, even beyond the reach of time, the dead may still speak, and perhaps, just perhaps, one day they will speak to you. If this story whispered to your heart, let its magic linger. Like, share, and subscribe, so the next tale from beyond the ordinary can find you too.